The absolute first thing a flight attendant looks at when you step onto their airplane has absolutely nothing to do with your expensive luggage or how politely you say hello. They are staring directly at your feet because the shoes you chose to wear to the airport could literally be the difference between you surviving an emergency or becoming a massive liability to everyone on board. Welcome to Travion IQ. Most travelers believe that the flight crew is silently judging their outfits or trying to figure out if they are going to be a difficult passenger. That is completely wrong. We are trained to instantly scan what you are wearing on your feet because we have seen thousands of passengers suffer severe injuries, miss tight connections, and even be forcibly removed from the aircraft, all because they made a catastrophic footwear mistake. Today, I am pulling back the curtain to reveal the 5 specific types of shoes that immediately trigger alarm bells for every single flight attendant. The shoe sitting at number 1 on this list doesn't just put your own life in danger. It actively threatens the survival of every other person on that plane. Let us start with a mistake that breaks my heart every single week because it is so entirely avoidable. Number 5, wearing brand new, unbroken-in shoes. These are the ultimate vacation ruiners. I see this exact scenario constantly. People get incredibly excited for a massive international trip. They want to look highly fashionable for their travel photos, or they know they will be walking a lot, so they go out and buy a brand new pair of expensive walking shoes specifically for the flight. They pull them out of the box and wear them to the airport for the very first time. This is a massive, painful mistake. Let me tell you what happened to a woman flying from Boston to Italy for a 2-week dream vacation. She bought beautiful, stiff leather walking shoes to look stylish in Europe. For the first 2 hours of the flight, she felt perfectly fine. But about 3 hours over the Atlantic, she was literally in tears. She had taken the shoes off to get comfortable while watching a movie, and when she tried to put them back on to use the lavatory, her feet had swollen so aggressively that the shoes physically would not fit over her heels. She was forced to walk off the plane in Rome wearing only her socks, and she spent the first 3 days of her expensive European vacation limping through the cobblestone streets in agony instead of enjoying the Colosseum. Here is the biological reality of flying that most people completely ignore. When you are sitting in a pressurized metal tube at 35,000 feet, your blood circulation slows down and fluids naturally pool in your lower extremities. It is a completely normal physiological response to altitude. Your feet can easily swell up to a full shoe size larger than normal. When you wear brand new shoes, the materials, whether it is leather, canvas, or synthetic mesh, are incredibly stiff. They have not had the time to stretch and mold to the unique shape of your foot. When your foot inevitably swells inside that rigid, unforgiving cage for 8 straight hours, you are guaranteeing yourself severe blisters, deep cuts on your heels, and agonizing foot pain that will last for days. Here is the absolute rule you must follow to protect your trip. You must only fly in shoes that you have actively broken in for at least 3 to 4 weeks prior to your departure date. Your flight shoes must have a little bit of extra forgiving room to easily accommodate that inevitable altitude swelling. They should not be tight, and they should not be loose enough to cause friction. Pack those beautiful new shoes safely in your checked luggage and change into them when you reach your hotel. The golden rule of airport footwear is simple. If you have not successfully walked at least 5 miles in them on the ground, you absolutely do not wear them in the sky. If you want to continue learning the hidden secrets that keep you safe and comfortable in the air, take a quick second to subscribe to my channel, Travion IQ, right now. If you thought the blisters from new shoes sounded painful, wait until you hear the nightmare scenario associated with our next footwear mistake. Number 4, flip-flops and open-toed slide sandals. I completely understand the psychology here. You are flying to Hawaii, the Caribbean, or Mexico. You are desperate to get into that relaxed, tropical vacation mindset the exact second you leave your house. But wearing flip-flops on a commercial airplane is a terrifyingly bad idea. Consider the story of a traveler flying from Miami to California to visit family. She wore her favorite, loose-fitting beach sandals. Midway through the flight, the cabin suddenly filled with smoke, and the pilots executed an emergency landing. During the chaotic, high-speed evacuation down the inflatable emergency slide, both of her flip-flops were instantly ripped off her feet. She was forced to sprint across an active, burning-hot airport tarmac completely barefoot. She suffered severe second-degree burns on the soles of her feet and spent 3 weeks of her vacation unable to walk properly. Beyond the extreme danger of an emergency, we need to have a very honest conversation about airplane hygiene. The floor of a commercial aircraft is absolutely disgusting. I do not care how much the airline PR department talks about their deep cleaning protocols. That thin carpet has absorbed spilled coffee, sticky soda, crushed food, and yes, incredibly unsanitary fluids that get tracked out of the airplane lavatories. When you wear flip-flops, your bare skin is completely exposed to that biological hazard, but the primary issue is pure safety. Flip-flops simply do not stay on your feet. They slide off when you are trying to navigate the narrow aisle to use the bathroom. They fly off if the plane hits severe, unexpected clear air turbulence, and you lose your footing. And they will absolutely vanish during a panicked evacuation. If a plane crashes or catches fire, you might be forced to run through a cabin filled with jagged metal, broken glass, spilled jet fuel, or burning debris. You legally have exactly 90 seconds to get every single living soul off that aircraft. 90 seconds. You cannot waste precious time searching for a lost sandal under a seat. Your action plan is non-negotiable. You must wear fully closed-toe shoes with a secure back. A solid pair of sneakers is the ultimate choice for full foot protection and mobility. Pack your beach sandals in your carry-on bag and put them on when you arrive at your resort. My professional pro tip is this: if you can easily kick the shoe off your foot without using your hands, it is not a flight-safe shoe. This brings us to a shoe style that tricks even the most experienced frequent flyers. Number 3, shoes without a structured backstrap. We are talking about fashionable mules, heavy clogs, or sleek slip-on loafers that have absolutely nothing securing the heel. At first glance, these seem like the ultimate travel hack, right? They are incredibly easy to slip off at the TSA security checkpoint, and they feel comfortable when you are just sitting in your seat. But flight attendants view them as massive tripping hazards. A seasoned traveler from Portland thought she was being smart by wearing comfortable, backless mules to breeze through security. During a terrifying emergency landing in Denver, the cabin crew was screaming for passengers to evacuate immediately. As she scrambled to get out of her row, she lost both of her mules in the panic. Without the support of her shoes, she landed awkwardly at the bottom of the evacuation slide and severely twisted her ankle. Instead of attending her grandson's graduation party, she spent the weekend in a crowded emergency room. These shoes offer zero structural integrity when you actually need to move with purpose. Whether you are bracing for unexpected turbulence, rushing to catch a tightly timed connecting flight, or simply walking down the steep incline of a jet bridge, backless shoes will slip off. Flight attendants constantly watch passengers trip over their own backless shoes just trying to walk to the lavatory. There is no emergency, no turbulence, just a normal flight, and suddenly their shoe slides off. They step down awkwardly on the hard edge of the heel, and they fall into the aisle. During a real evacuation, those shoes are gone the second you start moving fast, leaving you completely barefoot when you desperately need traction. To stay safe, you must choose footwear that features a secure, structured heel cup or a heavy-duty backstrap. Test your shoes at home. Walk aggressively down your hallway. If your heel slips out or the shoe feels loose, do not wear it to the airport. You must always prioritize physical security over slight convenience at the TSA line. Before you pack, ask yourself the magic question. If I had to sprint for my life across a tarmac right now, would these shoes stay on my feet? If the answer is no, leave them in the closet. If you are finding these insider safety secrets valuable, make sure you hit that subscribe button for Travion IQ. We are dedicated to making you the smartest, safest traveler in the terminal. Now we arrive at a footwear choice that slowly and quietly damages your body while you sit. Number 2, heavy, restrictive boots or tight lace-up shoes. These are the silent circulation killers. This specific mistake is incredibly dangerous, particularly for older passengers, pregnant women, or absolutely anyone who has a history of poor blood circulation. We are talking about heavy winter hiking boots, combat boots, or any rigid footwear that laces tightly all the way up your ankle and lower calf. A traveler from Minneapolis wore a pair of incredibly tight, heavy-duty hiking boots on a long 6-hour flight to Alaska for a massive cruise vacation. Because he was sitting completely still in a cramped economy seat at high altitude, his blood circulation slowed to a crawl. The blood pooled heavily in his lower legs. By the time the wheels touched down in Anchorage, his feet and ankles had swollen so dramatically against the rigid leather of the boots that the tight laces were literally cutting deep into his skin. He physically could not bend over to untie the boots himself because the pain was so severe. His feet had turned a terrifying shade of purple from the lack of oxygenated blood flow. Paramedics had to be called to the gate to carefully remove his boots, and he spent the entire first day of his expensive cruise sitting in the ship's medical center instead of watching glaciers calve into the ocean. When you sit for extended periods on a plane, you are already at a significantly higher risk for developing deep vein thrombosis, which are dangerous blood clots that form in the legs. When you wear heavy, restrictive boots that actively constrict your ankles and calves like a tourniquet, you are drastically multiplying that risk. Furthermore, heavy boots are a massive, frustrating hassle during security screening. Even though TSA procedures are changing, massive boots with thick rubber soles and metal eyelets almost always trigger the scanners, forcing you to slowly unlace them and hold up the entire line. Your strategy here is crucial. You must wear lightweight, highly breathable shoes constructed from flexible materials like athletic mesh or incredibly soft leather. Choose shoes with loose, forgiving laces or elastic slip-on designs that absolutely will not constrict your blood flow as your feet expand. Pack those heavy hiking boots at the very bottom of your checked luggage. To completely neutralize the risk of swelling, you should always wear high-quality compression socks underneath your comfortable travel shoes. Compression socks actively force the blood back up your legs, preventing pooling and swelling. They are an absolute game changer, and they are not just for the elderly. Elite athletes use them every time they fly. And now we have reached the absolute worst footwear choice you can possibly make on an airplane. The shoe that gets more passengers flagged, injured, and yelled at by flight crews than all the others combined. Number 1, high heels and stilettos. These are the ultimate emergency hazard. If you choose to wear high heels on a commercial aircraft, you are not just making a foolish decision regarding your own personal comfort. You are actively jeopardizing the lives of every single person sitting in your section of the plane. A passenger flying out of Chicago decided to wear sharp, 3-inch stiletto heels because she wanted to look elegant the moment she stepped off the plane for a destination wedding in Mexico. While she was walking back from the lavatory, the aircraft hit a pocket of moderate turbulence. Because her center of gravity was completely thrown off by the heels, she lost her balance, twisted her ankle violently, and collapsed into the aisle. The sprain was so severe that she had to be taken off the aircraft in a wheelchair, and she spent the entire wedding reception sitting in the corner with her foot packed in ice. But the danger of a sprained ankle is nothing compared to what happens in a real emergency. In the event of a catastrophic emergency evacuation, if you are wearing high heels, the flight attendants will not politely ask you to remove them. They will aggressively order you to take them off immediately before you are allowed anywhere near the inflatable emergency slide. Why? Because the sharp, rigid point of a high heel can instantly puncture the fabric of the inflatable slide, ripping a massive hole in it and instantly deflating it. If you pop that slide, you have just destroyed the only escape route for the 100 panicked people waiting in line behind you. Think about the horrific logistics of that scenario. In an emergency where the cabin is filling with smoke and every single millisecond counts between life and death, you're going to be forced to stop moving, bend down, and struggle to unbuckle or rip off your high heels, while a crowd of terrified people is screaming and pushing behind you. You are creating a deadly bottleneck. The FAA mandates that an entire aircraft must be evacuated in 90 seconds. High heels destroy that timeline. Even on a perfectly smooth, normal flight, high heels are incredibly dangerous. Airplane aisles are notoriously narrow. The flooring transitions from carpet to metal tracks. If you're trying to balance on spikes while the plane is pitching and rolling, you are going to fall hard. Flight attendants have treated countless head injuries, broken wrists, and shattered ankles simply because a passenger in heels tripped and smashed into the solid metal armrests on their way down to the floor. And as we discussed earlier, when your feet inevitably swell at altitude, those stylish heels instantly become medieval torture devices, forcing your swollen toes into an unnatural, agonizing position. The rule here is absolute. You must wear comfortable, supportive, closed-toe shoes with a maximum heel height of 1 inch. If you absolutely must have your designer heels for a meeting or a party, wrap them carefully and pack them safely inside your carry-on bag and change into them in the airport bathroom after you land. You must always choose your personal safety and the safety of the crew over temporary airport fashion. The ultimate rule of thumb is this: if you cannot comfortably sprint at full speed in the shoes you are wearing, they have absolutely no business being on an airplane. So what do the professionals actually wear when they are not in uniform? Here is the insider secret. When flight attendants travel off-duty as regular passengers, we exclusively wear simple, high-quality athletic sneakers or highly supportive walking shoes. We don't wear anything fancy or restrictive. We look for thick cushioning to protect our joints, solid arch support, breathable mesh fabric, and plenty of room for high-altitude swelling. We want a shoe that slips off easily at the TSA checkpoint, but locks securely onto our feet when we are running to a connection or bracing for turbulence. We wear practical, safe shoes because we have seen the brutal, bloody consequences of bad footwear every single day of our careers. I'm not telling you this to be the airport fashion police. I am telling you this because I want you to survive your flight. Your shoes might seem like an incredibly trivial detail when you are getting dressed in the morning, but at 35,000 feet in the air, trivial details rapidly escalate into life-threatening problems. The right pair of shoes is the difference between stepping off the plane ready to conquer your vacation and leaving the airport in the back of an ambulance. Now, perfectly navigating the dangers of airplane footwear will not save your trip if you're packing the wrong items in your luggage and getting flagged by the incredibly aggressive new TSA scanners being rolled out in 2026. The vast majority of travelers have absolutely no idea that the TSA has quietly and drastically updated their prohibited items list. These new rules are catching millions of people completely off guard, leading to massive delays, confiscated property, and completely missed flights. A traveler recently packed an item that was perfectly legal last year, got detained in a back room for 45 minutes, and missed the departure of her expensive cruise. In our very next video, I am exposing the 10 specific items that the new 2026 TSA scanners are actively hunting for. Do not let outdated packing advice destroy your vacation. Click the video on your screen right now to learn exactly what will get you detained, and I will see you there.